I hope everybody's doing okay. This is Slaves of Satan, part 59. And first, I want to say thank you for the recent extra feedback that I've been getting from these videos. The support is what keeps me motivated to continue making them. I'm not that I would have ever quit, but the more positive reception I get, the more motivated I am to continue making them. And I've been making them for about a year now, so and I'm about at 60 if you count the ones that are not specifically Slaves of Satan series and all the videos. Then I guess you would say that I'll probably be at 80 or 90. But overall, when it comes to the Slaves of Satan series, you can say overall I've probably been averaging about one a week. Um, God willing and health willing, with the second year of this, I really would love to push it up to three a week, but I really am gonna try to commit to two a week, and like I said, possibly three. Now, something that I really like to do is bounce around to all different fields because, like I say, the enemy works in every single way possible. Rather, it's a black magician, a politician, an athlete, a doctor, a chemist, um, uh, a philosopher. Something that I really tried to get across with these videos is that it does not matter what the person looks like, what they do for a living. They can be just as much in on it or more in on it than somebody putting on a theatrical show like Anton LaVey. And what I like to do, like I'm about to do with this, is uh, is pick somebody that most people have never heard of, and also provide rare information that Google does not just spit out the second you type it in. And I've been wanting to do this one far sooner, but when I think of what video to make next, there's literally just hundreds and hundreds of names just all scrambling around in my head. So it's kind of just the one um that takes that gets to the main focus first is pretty much how it goes. So John Logie Baird. Now, while the television cannot be completely attributed to one person, and while the development of the mechanism goes back further than John Logie Bard, but it also goes back to different people that was involved in the dark arts as well. But um, John Logie Bard is credited for making the main mechanism to the TV that we see with our eyes, the screen. And eventually, I have no problem and plan to make ones about people that made these specific mechanical parts to make the thing tick. But for now, there's certain reasons of why I want to focus on John Logie Bard first. Now, a lot of people don't know what the TVs and the screens also are. So we're gonna get into a couple different topics, and I know I always say this is gonna be this might be one of the shorter ones, but this probably will be just because there's very limited info, but just because it might be short and it's limited info does not mean that it's not valuable info because it's pretty rare information. Not many people know about this. They don't even know about the person, let alone the information. So first off, he believed that machines could talk to the dead, And by the end of this video, you will completely know why he thought that way. And I would, well, while he was doing things that completely defy scripture, he doesn't really seem like a religious person that really cares either way. But like I say, you don't need to believe in the devil or try to serve the devil for the devil to use you. Now, when he demonstrated this TV, it might have been at like a state fair or something, because they used to be really, really big back in the day. They would set up all those temporary makeshift buildings to show the newest technology coming out at that point. And back then there wasn't a whole lot, but just things like upgrade appliances for the house and stuff like that. And while he was showing the TV, a very eerie looking head appeared in it. And we'll get to why stuff like that can happen here in a little bit. Now, what people from this generation don't know, unless you have either been told, studied it, or ran across it, is that just because we grew up in this generation of screens does not mean that it is considered normal. Like if 200 years ago, let's say you would have brought a sorcerer, a practicing dark art sorcerer, into somebody's room, and then after that you would have brought a preacher into the room, you would have had two very extreme opinions about something that we do not even consider something to be worth talking about. And what is that? So, a black mirror, which is very pretty much the same as what, when you turn a TV off, it's a black mirror. When you turn a laptop off, it's a black mirror. When you turn a phone off, it's a black mirror, a tablet, and so on and so on. It turns into a scrying device for divination, and similar to the crystal ball, or the legends, they say how John Dee and Edward Kelly scryed from like a black obsidian stone. Now I've heard that the black stone is was a rumor, but it doesn't really matter. What matters is up until the TVs got normalized, practitioners of divination would have had a field day if they would have seen all these black mirrors around. And like a serious pastor would have been very, very, very concerned. Now, one of the oldest ways that spirits and sorcerers, people deeply involved in witchcraft, the way that they used to teleport to get in someone's home was through a mirror, and not even a black one, just a regular mirror in somebody's home. These people and entities can legitimately teleport through. And for people that just don't believe in very high level metaphysical events. I know this sounds just science fiction and unbelievable, but let me ask you this: Do you believe in the Bible? Do you believe in creation, intelligent design, the Book of Revelation, or Daniel, in the Book of Daniel, when Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego don't get burned in the fire? And if you're a Christian, I'm assuming the answer is yes. So, what's easier to believe? My claim that is backed up with um book after book after book after book of teachings of how to do it, or how to prevent someone from doing it that claims it was true, um or just somebody's worldly mind saying it's impossible. It's very, very, very possible. um just how it's just how most people that have researched that, they have come to the conclusion that John Dee and Edward Kelly, through scrying, absolutely um came in contact with angels. Not the kind that you would want to talk to, and we should not try to talk to angels in any which way, shape, or form. But a good example um of predictive programming the the Luciferians telling on themselves, because that's a Luciferian doctrine. They have to tell on themselves. And I also feel like God may have set that law in place so we have a fair chance. Because if we are diligent and observe what they're doing, we can be ahead of the game. That movie that came out, I think there was two in a remake, The Ring and Rings, and there's that famous moment where that demonic girl with the long black hair covering her whole face crawls out of the TV. Now, is that how it typically works? No. What normally happens is, unless if somebody has a distinct ability, an invisible demonic spirit will come through that mirror. It's typically not something that some type of fallen angel would use, but it's something that demons use. Because, like I say, one of the big differences, and I was never taught angelology, demonology, to even know the difference. And even though I was in church so much as a teen and young adult, I did not start learning all this stuff until I left the church and started searching things on my own. A demon wants a body and is not something physical that you can touch, under a few exceptions, which I'm not going to get into right now. Um, but the fallen angels, they're tangible. So, these TVs, smartphones, laptops, we need to be very careful on what we look at through them and what we put out into them, or what state of mind we're in when we're looking at it and talking. Especially if you do something like curse the Lord, or say just very demonic stuff to it. That is giving a entity permission to come out of it. And this is not a call to get rid of your TVs, unless if God specifically is urging you to do so. But like I said, unless that's the case, I personally would not recommend it because at this moment in time, it would just be counterproductive. Now, if it gets to a point in life where there is no independent faith-based content in my lifetime, everything to do with that is banned. No independent Christian YouTubers or anything on Rumble, BitChute, Odyssey, etc. At that point, I will opt out of television and probably all devices. But as of right now, I would not recommend somebody get rid of them unless they are having like a crippling addiction to something like pornography, because um these these powerful um devices, they can harvest your energy even without you being there. Spiritually, they can harvest your energy. And now, sorry, I got a rant about that. I just wanted to make it clear that a television and anything like that is more than just a screen. It's also a scrying mirror, and especially if you have an organic LED or a quantum LED TV, which I do have. Um, every once in a while, I would recommend standing in front of it and praying over it, and be very, very, very careful because I know how expensive some of these things are, and I have to be very careful with it. But what I do is I'll put a tiny, tiny, tiny droplet of anointing oil on my finger, wait till it's practically dry, and then touch like the very bottom of the TV, and and ask the Lord to protect me from any type of demonic energy that may attempt to come out of this and affect my life. Sila tabo koroma sisita lalaba sandarabo sisita sila ka karbo sikita kilata sandarabo sora kalalaba sisita. And I would just say do that whenever you feel led to, and like I said, with organic LED or quantum LED, technically that means that your TV, tablet, iPhone, iPad is technically alive. They disclosed this on a commercial years ago when the organic LED TVs were new. So if you have one of them, you need to really, really monitor how the room's feeling, because if you all of a sudden just feel that something is very off with your environment, there is almost always a problem. And you can even reach out to me if you ever feel like you need help diagnosing a problem. Now, sorry I went on that rant. Now, during a seance, he claimed to speak to Thomas Edison while he was developing Noctovision. Now, Noctovision was like an older technology that John Logie Bard was developing for like night vision, infrared type of things, but this was also used for television as well. I believe it was used to help bring about the colored television. And also, he got information from who claimed to be the deceased Thomas Edison from Morse code, And Edison claimed to be experimenting with noctovision himself in the astral plane. So there's two possibilities of what can be going on here. Now, this subject gets brought up a lot because of the type of people I focus on talking about, but I never mind repeating myself. And the reason I do it is because I never know when there's going to be a new listener, or some people, if they just need to hear something multiple times, and repetition is the best way of learning. So, in cases like this, there's two possibilities, and over 99% of the time, the it's gonna be a familiar spirit. Now, what is a familiar spirit? It is a entity that is a demon that specializes in pretending to be the disembodied, lingering spirit of somebody that has not crossed over to the other side. But like I said, it's a trick that they pull to make you believe that you're talking to somebody. Um, or specifically, they'll do this to your loved ones. They'll target somebody that lost a wife, mom, son, sister in a tragic way, and the person will get desperate, so they'll go to a medium or use tarot cards, a Ouija board. And because these demons have been on the earth for at least 5,000 years, but I believe a little bit longer. And also, the way they perceive time is different. So, and how different is it? I don't know. But 5,000 years could feel like, um, say, 50,000 years to them. I'm just giving an example. It could be less, could be more similar, but I believe it's completely different. So, because of all this time, and because they work in somewhat of a hive mindset, they know everything about all your relatives. Like, you'll see on these shows, these mediums will, like, say, uh, um, you had a sister. When you was 8 years old, she gave you a purple blanket to always remember her by in case something happened to her. And then you'll see the person break down in tears. And it's really horrible how they take advantage of people like that when a demon is speaking through them. And so I'm getting carried away. But now, every once in a while, there is a second possibility. The second possibility is that the person that they are speaking to, and this usually will never ever um pertain to someone's like regular family, unless you had somebody in your family that was extremely high status or extreme black magician. Option two is when the person has cheated death, became one with the fallen angels, transitioned into a Gibberim, completed the tree of life and possibly the tree of death, and they have became a being that is no longer human. They have completed the great work, and that's what I'm thinking could be a possibility with this Thomas Edison thing, possibly. And the first reason being is because most of these really big names, they either, well, every big name that is pushed, unless that they're just thrown, like their name is just thrown through the mud and just made to look like they're scum or something. But any name that is praised by the masses, they are either in some type of antichrist fraternity like the Masons, or they are very, very, very deep into black sorcery, and they have done something like the great work, the Philosopher's Stone, um, uh, Gibberim, um, uh, the Tree of Life, just um, uh, um, uh, metempsychosis, to put their soul in a different body to prolong death until the day of judgment. So, but the reason I'm thinking this is for two reasons: because it's a famous person, and because he is claiming to be using the Noctovision and experimenting with it from the astral plane, because that would mean that um as one of Satan's adopted children or fallen angel or ascended master, whatever Edison could have became when he died, his work for the devil could have been at that moment perfecting the Noctovision in the astral realm, and when it's perfected in the astral realm is when it will manifest on a higher level to the in the physical realm. In a way, that's kind of what that like the as above so below thing. And also, Edison told John Logie Baird that eventually his invention would be used to speak to the dead. And if you look for it, there's thousands of occultists out here that use the TV as a scrying mirror, especially the organic LEDs and the quantum LEDs. So I would say that's fulfilled, because there's satanic prophecies as well. The best example of a satanic prophecy would be the Book of the Law, unfortunately. Now, let's see what John Logie Bard was accepted into. He was a member of the Royal Society of Edinburgh. Now, the Royal Society is based. It's I believe it's all over now, but it started over in England, and pretty much it's one of these organizations that makes it seem like it was a Christian Renaissance era group. But what it actually is is a group for people that was doing things like ungodly divination, like astrology, under the guise and appearance of Christianity. The Renaissance era was really, really known for that. And he was also a member of the Physical Society, um, which um, which did multiple things, but was big into studying paranormal, metaphysical stuff as well. As among other things, it kind of like a hybrid society, a little bit of both. Just like in Freemasonry, you'll get some metaphysics, some basic science, some of the liberal arts, some politics, kind of like that. Now, I also want to point out that when we watch TV, we go into alpha brainwaves. Well, most people do. If we are aware of what is going on and we tell ourselves and make the decision, I'm not gonna just watch this because I want to be entertained. I'm gonna watch this because I want to investigate the predictive programming and the social engineering that is being attempted on my mind through this film. If you can keep a mindset like that, then you can stop your brain from going into that state. Now, the I don't think John Logie Bard knew this back then, but the reason why I believe Satan made it so your brain would be an alpha is because when you see horrible things happening on the TV, and I can say I I watch zero secular shows. I don't even know the last time I sat down to watch a series. It's probably been like 15 years. It's very rare that I go to the movies unless if somebody wants me to go with them. I can't remember the last time I watched a movie. I'll watch Christian content creators that will decode recent movies that comes out, but there's just better things to do with my time. Oh yeah, but anyways, like I was saying, so for example, say you're watching some horror movie and you're seeing people get just hacked to bits, and you're just laid back snacking on your bag of chips and drinking your cola or whatever, and you're unfazed. That's because of what they have your brain waves in. Because say if you heard yelling outside, you walked upstairs, you saw the exact same thing happening that you saw on the TV happening out two houses down from you, you would be scarred for life, and possibly even um altars could possibly even go inside you. So what I'm getting at is what the programs are used for now is two things: to desensitize people to sex, violence, crudeness, perverseness, disgusting things. And then the other reason is so when you have young kids that's brain is starting to develop that cannot handle seeing extreme violence, and it just very much frightens them, and and just takes a toll on their mind. It's it's possible that that can put an alter in a little kid. So basically, for adults, desensitize, but for the young people that's mind has not developed, the goal is to put alters in these people. And just like look up the mental health rate, it's clear something is going on. Now, the closing statement I want to make is that the TV runs from invisible airwaves, okay? And uh, and unfortunately, Satan does own the airwaves because he is the prince of the power of the air. Ephesians 2:2, in which you once walked according to the course of this world, according to the prince of the power of the air, the spirit who now works in the sons of disobedience. And see, when I was younger and when I was in church, nobody ever was creative and got the idea that this can be literal and metaphorical at the same time. When it comes to aeronautics, Satan owns that industry. And then you have the metaphysical, the metaphors you can get out of that too. But but what I'm getting at is the TV works by invisible air waves that comes from the prince of the power of the air. He brings the air waves. Um, and hopefully I can get this out by the end of the day. Today's the Sabbath. I hope everybody gives time to the Lord and has a good day today. Praise the Lord Jesus Christ. Thank you.